Have you ever wondered why countries fight so hard to host the World Cup? After all, building infrastructure, organizing security, upgrading transportation systems, and welcoming millions of visitors costs an enormous amount of money. Yet governments keep competing for the privilege. Why? Because behind the goals, the stadiums, and the celebrations lies something much bigger. Money. A lot of money. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is unlike any World Cup in history. For the first time ever, three countries will host the tournament together: the United States, Canada, and Mexico. 48 teams, millions of visitors, billions of viewers, and potentially tens of billions of dollars flowing through North America. But here's the question nobody is asking: who will actually benefit the most from this event? Will it be the United States, Canada, Mexico, or could the biggest winners be someone else entirely? Let's find out. When most people think about the World Cup, they think about football. The matches, the players, the trophies. But economists see something completely different. They see hotels, airlines, restaurants, construction projects, transportation networks, advertising, retail spending, and tourism. The World Cup is not only a sporting event, it is an economic machine. And in 2026, that machine will be operating across an entire continent. Let's start with the United States. Out of the three host nations, the United States is expected to receive the largest economic impact. Why? Simple. Most of the matches will be played there. Most of the host cities are American, and the country already possesses some of the largest sports venues on Earth. Cities like New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, Miami, Atlanta, Seattle, and Philadelphia are preparing to welcome millions of visitors. Every visitor spends money: hotels, food, transportation, entertainment, shopping. Now imagine millions of visitors doing that simultaneously. The numbers become enormous. But tourism is only part of the story. The United States also gains something much more valuable: global attention. For an entire month, billions of people around the world will see American cities, businesses, infrastructure, and culture. This is marketing on a scale that money alone cannot buy. And for local businesses, that exposure can create opportunities that last years after the final match is played. But here's where things become interesting. The United States may already be rich. Yet the World Cup could still generate billions in additional economic activity. However, economists often warn about something called the mega-event illusion. Just because money enters a city doesn't mean everyone benefits equally. Some businesses will experience record profits. Others may see little change. And that raises another question. Could Canada and Mexico actually gain more relative value from the tournament? Let's look at Canada. Canada will host fewer matches than the United States. But that doesn't mean the impact will be small. In fact, for cities like Toronto and Vancouver, the World Cup represents an opportunity to strengthen their position on the global stage. Many people know New York. Many people know Los Angeles. But global sporting events help cities introduce themselves to new audiences: investors, tourists, entrepreneurs, international companies. For Canada, the tournament is not only about visitor spending. It is about visibility. Every image broadcast around the world becomes a form of advertising. And that advertising may influence future tourism and investment decisions for years to come. Sometimes the long-term effects are far more valuable than the short-term profits. Now let's talk about Mexico. And this is where the story gets fascinating. Because Mexico could be one of the biggest winners of all. Why? Because economic impact is often measured relative to the size of an economy. $1 billion means something different to Mexico than it does to the United States. Tourism has always been one of Mexico's economic strengths. The World Cup gives the country an opportunity to showcase its culture, hospitality, food, history, and business potential to billions of viewers. For local businesses, hotels, transportation companies, restaurants, and retailers, the event could create a major boost in revenue. But perhaps more importantly, it helps strengthen Mexico's international image. And perception matters. Countries compete for investment just as companies compete for customers. The better the perception, the easier it becomes to attract future capital. But here's a secret many people don't realize. The biggest winners of major sporting events are often not governments. They're private businesses. Think about it. Airlines benefit. Hotels benefit. Restaurants benefit. Sponsors benefit. Media companies benefit. Streaming platforms benefit. Merchandise companies benefit. Even small local businesses can experience massive increases in demand. In many ways, the World Cup functions like a giant economic stimulus package spread across dozens of industries. Then there is infrastructure. Whenever countries prepare for global events, they often accelerate projects that might otherwise take years. Roads, airports, public transportation, urban development, digital infrastructure. These investments can continue benefiting citizens long after the tournament ends. This is one reason governments are often willing to spend significant resources preparing for such events. The goal is not only to host visitors. The goal is to leave a lasting legacy. However, not every World Cup has been an economic success. History teaches us an important lesson. Building expensive stadiums that are rarely used afterward can become a financial burden. Some host nations have spent billions only to discover that long-term benefits were smaller than expected. That is why economists remain divided. Some view mega events as opportunities. Others view them as risky investments. The truth usually lies somewhere in the middle. Success depends on how effectively a country uses the event as a platform for future growth. So who wins the most? The United States gains massive tourism revenue and global exposure. Canada strengthens its international visibility and attracts future opportunities. Mexico may experience one of the most significant relative economic boosts while improving its global image. Businesses across all three countries stand to benefit from increased demand. And FIFA itself will generate enormous revenues from broadcasting rights, sponsorships, and commercial partnerships. But perhaps the biggest winner is North America as a whole. Because for 1 month, the world will focus its attention on a continent that is increasingly becoming one of the most important economic regions on Earth. When the final whistle blows and the trophy is lifted, the matches will be over. But the real game, the economic game, will continue. Tourists may return, investors may arrive, businesses may expand, and cities may continue benefiting from the attention they received. Because in the end, the World Cup is never just about football. It is about money, influence, opportunity, and the race between nations to attract the future. And that may be the most important competition of all.